Hello, it's 9 p.m. the time for the English news edition. Here are the major stories for tonight. The head of state receives a delegation of Francophone prosecutors at the presidential palace this morning. And on the international news, former leader Salah killed in fighting. Thank you for joining us. The President of the Republic, His Excellency Ismail Marguerite, received this morning at the Presidential Palace a delegation of the International Association of Prosecutors of the French-speaking countries, led by the Minister of Justice, Mohamed Ahmed Sheikh, and Attorney General Jama' Suleiman. This delegation, composed in particular of the AIFPPF President, Mr. Sabine, the Secretary General, Mr. François Feuilletou, and the other members of the AIPPF, have discussed with the President of the Republic on the ways and means to affirm the regional and international cooperation in matters of fight against terrorism and organized crime in East Africa, in the Indian Ocean especially. The delegation briefed the President on the current state at the national level and each entity to international organizations with a focus on the main challenges and opportunities. The President and Secretary General of the AAPPF gave us, in a short interview, the contents of their meeting with the head of state, which they said is especially concerned on the ways and means to strengthen the fight against terrorism and organized crime in East Africa, in the Indian Ocean. The Attorney General of the Republic of Djibouti, Jama' Suleiman Ali, congratulated the holding in Djibouti of the 5th Regional Conference on strengthening the fight against terrorism and organized crime in East Africa and the Indian Ocean. During a press briefing, the prosecutor reported on the success of this meeting, which allowed the exchange of views and the expertise of experienced magistrate and men on the ground. In his intervention, the following interview with the President of the Republic, the Minister of Justice also briefed us on the essential of the events with the head of the state and the importance to consolidate their fight against the scourge of terrorism. On the sidelines of the 4th International Trade Fair in Djibouti, organized by the Chamber of Commerce to mark its 110th existence, a forum for the exchange of positions and points of views on the regional integration was opened this morning at the People's Palace. This forum of debates and reflections was opened by the Prime Minister Abdul Qadir Kamil Mohammed. It has seen the participation of a large number of personalities, including several members of the government, some of them in charge of management of sectoral departments related to trade, transport, investment, taxation and customs, have taken turn speaking. The head of the Ethiopian diplomacy, Tedros, invited to this forum also intervened, as much as the ambassador of France in Djibouti, parliamentarians, diplomats, officials, businessmen operating in Djibouti, but also from abroad, to follow the event and exchange of points of view. Mr. Carlos Lopez, former Executive Secretary of the United Nations Economic Commission for Africa, the ECI, also moderated the discussions. The objective of this high-level economic forum is to stimulate investments in this part of the continent and to reinforce the principle that more investment in priority sectors such as infrastructure will help increase commercial transactions, generate sustainable growth and finally create new job opportunities. The President of the Chamber of Commerce, Yusuf Moussa Douale, declared himself honored and delighted to hold this kind of forum in Djibouti soil. He said this grand rally advocates for a regional economic integration. Policymakers, businessmen and potential investors come together to reflect together on the development of the sub-region to move Africa to a greater progress and prosperity. And speaking next, let's listen to the Minister of Investments.
La République de Djibouti, qui organise ces événements.
The Republic of Djibouti, which organized the regional event, is a state of law that provides legal certainty for political and economical actors. Good governance, transparency, efficiency are tangible realities in public and private affairs. The political and economical options of Djibouti are clearly affirmed by free competition, the protection of private properties, regional and continental interaction. Our ambition is the development of a competitive economy so that we can get a creative business and sustainable jobs and wealth. To this end, allow me to recall the measures taken by our government to make the business climate even more attractive. Without being exhaustive, I would like to highlight some key measures. The granting of tax benefit during the realization and exploitation of investment. The adoption of a flexible work code allowing flexibility and freedom of hiring. The creation of framework for public dialogues. The freedom of transferring income from investing capitals, the access to multilateral investment, free access to public markets, transparency, and awareness of contract. There is also the adoption of the law on public and private partnership and a establishment of a Committee of Economic Development of Djibouti, which gives the possibility to the investors to make spontaneous efforts of projects in public-private partnership.
The Foreign Minister of Ethiopia has expressed himself as the following.
Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, Ethiopia's diplomatic relation with Djibouti is given considerable priority since it is one of the strong and fruitful diplomatic ties in centuries. Recent high-level government officials visit from and to the two countries is more frequent than any of the past decades. Such visits are a clear manifestation of the multifaceted fraternal relationship between the two countries, which is deep, entrenched, and will continue to be. Djibouti is a strong economic development partner for Ethiopia. We appreciate the very meaningful support extended for the government and private sectors of Djibouti in the past decades for the smooth and deep-rooted economic cooperation and integration. The economic relation between the two countries is enhancing from time to time. Investment flow is increasing in number, type, and diversity. Tourism flow also increasing between the two countries. And the trade volume of the two countries grows to more than $110 million in 2016. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, Africa has been on the business radar for the decades as we have witnessed an increased appetite for trade and investment in the continent in infrastructure, development, agriculture, mining, manufacturing, and tourism, with having ample potential of natural and human resources.
As for the Minister of Economy and Finances, has talked about the importance of this event. Let's listen to him.
En effet, la politique économique de notre pays.
In fact, the economic policy of our country has been marked in recent years by important public investment, which are essentially for maximizing the benefit of our geostrategic position. Those are mainly major infrastructure projects in the public sector, particularly the railway line to Ethiopia, the construction of new port, and another major project is the construction of Ethiopia-Djibouti gas pipeline for the export of natural gas from Ethiopia by Djibouti. This forum is a great opportunity to convince the economic actors of the sub-regions that Djibouti internally and naturally redistribute platform because of its geostrategical position. We continue the development of common infrastructure, roads, railways, pipelines with the countries of the region.
The Prime Minister Abdul Qadir Kamil Mohammed congratulated the Chamber of Commerce on the organization of this forum on regional integration. He said that this forum aims to establish good governance, to annihilate interference in corruption, to set tariff and customs rules, to create a commercial accord. All this will encourage investors to engage. They need a healthy and supportive environment, he said. And after presiding over the opening ceremony of the Integration Forum that opened this morning at the People's Palace, the Prime Minister Abdul Qadir Kamil Mohammed visited the various stands of Djibouti International Trade Fair. This international trade fair is a first in our country. Djibouti's public and private economic operators have set up booths for their activities and services, and it's expected that the organization of this international trade fair will create a new dynamic for the economy of the Republic of Djibouti. For the second consecutive day of the International Trade Fair, activities continued at the People's Palace, organized by the Chamber of Commerce under the theme of First Djibouti International Trade Fair Djibouti, Your Getaway to Africa. According to the organizers, this fair has welcomed nearly 200 exhibitors, more than half of whom came from abroad. Among the companies participating in this international exhibition are giant companies from Germany, Canada, Egypt, Saudi Arabia, Ethiopia and Somaliland, as well as local income companies. Let's recall that the exhibition, the first of its kind in Djibouti, which will continue until December 7, coincides with the 120th anniversary of the creation of Djibouti's Chamber of Commerce and the 40th anniversary of the national independence. Continuing with the national news, Gabon's Annex 1 school yesterday hosted an official ceremony to launch the measles vaccination campaign in schools initiated jointly by the Ministry of Health and the Ministry of National Education and Vocational Training. On their arrival, the Minister of Health, Dr. Jami Al-Mioki, and his colleague of Education, Mustafa Mohammed Mahmoud, crossed the caravan under the chairs of all the students of Gabon's Annex 1 school, of their teachers, who reserved a particular warm welcome in a festive and cheerful atmosphere. Also noteworthy is the presence of the senior executives of the two ministerial departments who attended the colorful launch ceremonies. By way of animation, the School of Annex 1 presented its young fall troops, which has beautifully performed the different representations of traditional dances of our nation. Subsequently, the audience made an outcry of applause as they listened to a moving poem recited by young prodigy Barak Ahmed. In speaking, the Minister of the National Education and Vocational Training, Mr. Mustafa Mohammed Mahmoud, invited heads of institutions, schools and parents and students to provide all necessary support to the themes of the health that will cross all schools in the country. And for his part, the Minister of Health, Dr. Jami Al-Mioki, recalled that in addition to this vaccination campaign in the schools, the Ministry of Health has also implemented a new strategy to reach the targeted children of the nation through the establishment of advanced position in health centers in posters, and also through the movement of the mobile team to the most remote and least accessible localities. The fourth meeting of Ministers of Commerce of the AU was held in Niamey, Niger, from December 1st to December 2nd. Mr. Hassan Hamad Ibrahim, Minister Delegate in charge of Trade, Small and Medium Enterprises, took part in this meeting. Craft, Tourism and Formalization, accompanied by the Director of Foreign Trade and Regional Integration, Hassan Adan Shihim. The fourth meeting of the African Ministers of Trade aimed to conclude the finalization of the framework agreement establishing the Continental Free Trade Area. The trade in goods and services protocols and annexes, which are all integral parts of the CFTA. The ministerial meeting was preceded by the negotiating forum and the meeting of senior officials of the AU Ministers of Trade. And now the news in the country. The United Arab Emirates Consulate The general held a celebratory reception last night at the Campiski Palace in Djibouti, commemorating the 46th anniversary of its country's national holiday. Indeed, the National Day commemorates the creation of the United Arab Emirates Federation on December 2nd, 1971, when 6 emirates gained independence while they were British colonies. The Emirates of Ras Al Khaimah joined the federation at the beginning of the following year. As usual, the national holiday is accompanied by festivities, cultural, sports and commercial activities in Dubai. In Djibouti, the commemorative ceremony was honored by the presence of the Minister of Housing and the Environment, Musa Mohammed Ahmed, the Secretary General of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation, Mohammed Ali Hassan, and several senior Djibouti civil and military and religious figures in the diplomatic and consular corps accredited to Djibouti was also well represented in this ceremony. All these guests were warmly welcomed on site by the Consul General of the United Arab Emirates, Dr. Abdullah bin Abdul Al-Naqabi, surrounded by his close collaborators. And on the news outside our borders, the Yemen civil war took a dramatic new turn on Monday when Houthi rebels backed by Iran killed the former president, punishing him for switching sides and seeking peace with Saudi Arabia. Pictures of the corpse of Ali Abdullah Saleh appeared on Houthi-run television after the militia claimed it had killed him as he fled the capital, Sana'a. He had ruled Yemen for more than 30 years and was forced to resign in 2011 as part of the Arab Spring political revolution. Houthi military officials said Salah was killed as he and other top party leaders were traveling from Sana'a to his hometown of Senhan. And Houthi fighters followed him in 20 armored vehicles, then attacked and killed him and almost all those with him. Gruesome video of his blood-spattered body were distributed on social media. That's all for this news. Thank you for joining us on RTD and have a good night.